All right. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to do something that I haven't done over the course of 100 plus videos on this channel. I want to break the nice, neat, tidy timeline of documentary style videos and instead bring you an update. Now, before you get worried, National Park Diaries is not going anywhere. The title of this video wasn't clickbait or anything. It's exactly what it says it is. I just want to talk about the future of the channel because starting with this video, things are going to look a little different around here. I'm going to be making some changes, which we'll get to, but first I want to give you a little bit of background. I want to give you some context and explain some of the backstory for why these changes are being made. Let's start back in mid-March of last year, 2023. If you've been part of this community since that time, you'll know that this was the start of a nearly 7-month unbroken streak of weekly videos here on the channel. Every week from March 20th through October 9th, 2023, I uploaded one video per week here on National Park Diaries, and sometimes more than that if I made a short. This was the result of a conscious decision I made to stick to a weekly schedule in the hopes of growing the channel and reaching a more stable level of viewership. In today's day and age, quantity is often rewarded over quality when it comes to online content creation. And in order to keep up with the never-ending arms race that is YouTube, this is what I thought was in the best interest of National Park Diaries. More uploads, more viewers, more funding for more and bigger projects. That was the idea, to build some momentum. And for a while, this was going well. I hit a groove, I put together a long-term upload schedule for planning purposes, I had a weekly routine, I had some videos that did pretty well. Things were going pretty good, actually, until about mid-September. I was in California at the time doing a story on Joshua trees and the threats they're facing. This was a story I was deeply passionate about. I mean, I'm passionate about all of my stories, but this Joshua tree video was one I had been thinking about since the early days of National Park Diaries. It was a juicy story about one of the most iconic national park species we have, how they might disappear from the very park that they gave their name to, and I could impart a broader lesson about conservation, climate change, and the future of national parks. It was like a slam dunk for an NPD video, the type of thing that I just go crazy for, that I love talking about. But while making this story, I realized that this passion and zeal with which I normally approach all of my videos just wasn't there for this one. The creative flame that burns so deeply inside me and which I draw on to make all of these videos wasn't extinguished, but I could feel it beginning to dim. That's when I knew something was wrong, because I truly do love making these videos and sharing these stories with you all. If that creative flame was beginning to dim, I knew I had to do something about it. Now, you all probably wouldn't have noticed any of this. Such is the beauty of editing and filmmaking. I can smooth over all the cracks and imperfections that go into the production process, and I get to put on a pretty face for the camera and pretend everything is okay. And in fact, I made 2 more weekly videos after that Joshua Tree run when the whole government shutdown saga was going on. But shortly after that, I made the decision to shut things down for a week, to break my weekly upload schedule, to take a week completely off from making or thinking about videos. I didn't do anything and basically just retreated from the world. I hardly went on my phone, I went on long walks, I read a lot of books, and I played a lot of video games. I just shut everything down, basically. I wanted to preserve the creative flame that I had left and begin the process of rekindling that flame so that I could come back to make videos with a new level of passion and excitement, which I did for the rest of 2023, albeit on a much less regular schedule. Here's the thing though, that period of burnout was a real reckoning for me. As I came out of it, I realized that this wasn't just a case of, okay, I've taken some time off, now I can pick up right back where I left off. What that burnout had told me unknowingly was that there needed to be some changes. I needed to make some changes. See, when I came back to making videos after my week off, I told myself that I'd just let my brain work on things in the background. This is how I often process difficult stuff. In other words, I wasn't going to actively think about what changes I might want to make, but to see if anything just kind of bubbled up to the surface in my subconscious. Then I went on winter break and let that process play out even further, again without all of the mental clutter and distraction that comes with an ever more online life. The conclusions I came to during this time are the reason I'm now making this video. So for those of you who have been here for a long time, like since the beginning of the channel, you will probably have noticed that these videos have become ever more personal over the years. I actually started National Park Diaries as a simple voiceover channel, focused purely on the stories I was telling and the parks that encompass them. But then I started appearing on camera, and I quite literally inserted myself into these stories. Ever since then, I've included more and more personal aspects and anecdotes into this channel. It's become a part of me, a part of who I am. And it's this trend of more and more personal stories that bubbled up to the surface for me during my period of burnout-induced reflection. And it's this trend that's going to be the focus of some of the upcoming changes. Because when I started National Park Diaries, I never envisioned how much it would come to mean to me. I always knew from day one that I wanted it to center on educational, documentary-style content about parks, public lands, and protected areas from around the world. But I never anticipated that it would also come to be a form of self-expression for me, a creative outlet where I could share my thoughts, feelings, and worldview with a group of like-minded strangers. In fact, I don't think I've ever shared where the name National Park Diaries comes from. It comes from the idea that when you see a diary in a piece of media like a movie or a book, or in this case, a YouTube channel, that diary is often a way to make the inner thoughts and feelings of a particular character known to the world or to the audience. I envisioned National Park Diaries as a way of making the inner thoughts and feelings of the parks known to you, my audience. But here again, I never anticipated that this analogy might also one day come to apply to me, the guy making the videos. Each video here on National Park Diaries has become, in a way, an entry into my own National Park Diary. A way for me to share my love and passion and excitement for parks with people all around the world. And I have come to realize that if I want to keep sharing that love and passion and excitement, to rekindle the flame that is the engine of these videos, I have to allow myself to create parks-related content outside of the bounds in which I initially set for myself. Which is how we arrive at this new version of National Park Diaries I want to share with you here in 2024. The changes are twofold. The first concerns the types of videos I've been making on the channel up to this point. And before you run to hit that unsubscribe button, these types of videos are not going anywhere. Short form, documentary style, educational videos about national parks, public lands, and protected areas from around the world have been the bread and butter of National Park Diaries since day one. And they will continue to be the bread and butter of National Park Diaries moving forward. The types of videos you have come to know and love are not going anywhere, and they will continue to be the centerpiece of this channel. What's changing about them is, well, I want to make them better. During my sojourn into weekly uploads last year, I felt like I just wasn't telling the types of stories that I wanted to tell because I had to compress the production process down into basically 5 days. There was no room for stories to breathe, no room to learn new skills, no room for me to grow as a storyteller. And if there's anything these parks deserve, it's to have their stories told in the best way possible. So that's going to be the focus for me this year. improving the quality of my videos. Whether that's doing deeper research, more detailed analysis, or a better written script to make things more clear, or technical improvements like maybe better cinematography when I go in the field, or even animation, which I've always wanted to try and learn for a while, and I think is a great inclusion in educational videos. I really do think this is going to make my videos even better and do justice to the parks whose stories deserve to be told. However, all of those things take time. Like I said, weekly uploads just are not conducive to quality and learning new things, and I want to focus on quality this year rather than quantity. So the educational videos on this channel will probably become less frequent, but hopefully higher quality. These changes might even be just imperceptible at times, maybe just a deeper piece of analysis or a nugget of research I wouldn't have otherwise found, or a shift in tone during the writing process that really drives home the story. Who knows? Again, I just want to focus on quality, on improving as a storyteller. Which brings us to the second aspect of these changes, a new type of video here on National Park Diaries. These videos are going to be where I introduce a little more of that personal flavor I was talking about earlier, and they won't follow the typical educational video formula, although they'll still be national park related, of course. One of the things I realized during my burnout fever dreams was that I didn't want to be put into a box here on YouTube. YouTube loves putting people in boxes, and if there's one thing I've hated my entire life, it's being put into a box to fit into some preconceived notion of what people, or an algorithm in this case, thought I should be. So these more personal videos will allow me to really spread my wings creatively to test new ideas and formats and techniques while still creating content under a larger national parks umbrella, which hopefully I can spin off and reinvest back into normal educational videos as well, a sort of positive feedback loop of creativity. In addition, I am anticipating these new types of videos to be less labor-intensive than normal educational videos, so they can help fill in some of the gaps left behind by those videos taking longer to make. Again, I really want these changes to be complementary. The videos may differ in style, but they're still all in service of thinking about, talking about, and ultimately celebrating national parks and protected areas from around the world. That is the core philosophy behind National Park Diaries, and none of that is changing with the new version of the channel. Also, these videos aren't really looking to replace my educational videos or taking my energies away from making them. Those are still my one true love and what I want to focus on going forward. These new types of videos are just supplementary videos that will allow me to channel some different creative energy when it comes to national parks content. Now, I know you're probably wondering what these new videos will look like, and while I don't know entirely, because the whole point is to kind of just see where my creativity takes me, I do have a few ideas. Some of the things I floated around are visual poetry, atmospheric/silent films about my visits. A lot of you have asked about my books, so I can finally discuss those, thoughts and reflections on different park visits and park issues, things that are maybe in the news at the time, and overall, just more miscellaneous topics that never really fit the mold for a National Park Diaries video up to this point, but which I'd like to explore going forward. I'm also open to ideas that you all would like to see, so you can leave those in the comments as well. And I think that's just about everything I wanted to talk to you about today. National Park Diaries is going into its third year. It's been a wild ride full of things I never could have expected, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. Sometimes you just can't resist the changes life throws your way. I thought for a long time National Park Diaries was one thing, but I've learned recently that it's something completely different and will probably change even more in the future as well, and that's okay. The underlying philosophy and core values are still there, and so it's still National Park Diaries. It might just look a little different going forward. I'm excited to share it all with you, and I hope you're excited to see it. Thanks as always for your support, your kindness, your patience, and most of all, your love of parks. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.